Text appears over a hazy background. For me, disability is not a brave struggle or courage in the face of adversity. Disability is an art. It's an ingenious way to live. Neil Marcus. The text vanishes and the hazy background clears to reveal sunlight shining through trees. The person looking up at the trees blinks, briefly obscuring our view. A close view shows the person's blue eyes. They blink, and the image of the trees blurs slightly. The sunlight shining through the leaves appears as bright speckles, then a shimmering orb with a rainbow-colored corona around it. Another person opens their eyes. The close view shows a black man looking at us. A man's pupil contracts. More glimpses show people's eyes.
There are various causes of low vision or vision loss or visual impairment or blindness. The various causes can be different eye diseases, eye injuries or brain injuries, and or congenital or hereditary conditions.
A woman stands outside a building.
The Sight Center is a place of hope. And we understand this can be a big change in their life. We provide a listening ear. We exist to help people get to a better place in their life.
A sepia-toned photo shows a younger woman reading to an older woman. A white-haired man gives an interview.
The Sight Center, now over 100 years old, is kind of the center place for 20-some counties in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan for people who are experiencing vision loss.
With a balding man.
The mission of the Sight Center is to empower independence and enrich the lives of people who are blind or visually impaired.
With the bespectacled woman.
We help people increase their level of independence in their home, in their neighborhood, at work. We pick up where the eye doctor leaves off.
With two blonde women.
The Sight Center definitely had a very significant impact on both of us. Just knowing that we had this place that we could reach out to if we had a question or if we needed some support, we always knew and still know that the Sight Center is always there.
With a nun.
Other places, there's one orientation and mobility in one place, and then you go to another place to take your technology training. We are so blessed in this area to have all those multiple programs and services just in one center.
There were some elements that have remained constant. The idea of independence, of empowering individuals, and of enriching lives.
A black and white photo shows a girl getting an eye exam. The photo takes on a greenish hue, and a title appears, Beyond Sight, A Legacy of Empowerment. A woman with a tattoo on her calf sits for an interview. Kim Nielsen, PhD, University of Toledo.
How different cultures have understood blindness and disability has really changed over time. For some, it was considered a sign of evil. For some cultures and time periods, it was considered a sign of special goodness or a gift from God or a belief that someone had higher spiritual powers. Other times, it was a sign of just poverty and laziness and ineptitude. People with blindness were simply considered to be objects of charity, people one had to help. If you were poor, it simply meant that you become a beggar.
Photos appear.
In the 1830s and 1840s in the United States, lead educators began to argue that blind people could actually be educated.
Students sit in a classroom.
One could be taught to read and write, one could learn history, mathematics, all the other things in life, and that one could be taught a trade so that you'd have an income.
A blind man uses a loom.
Schools for blind children began to develop in about the 1830s, 1840s, and that spread across the U.S. throughout the 19th century.
Blind students sit at desks.
Institutions for blind people also tried to educate employers and to think about what jobs they felt blind people could do.
In a factory, a blind man uses a loom.
As public schools began to spread, as private schools began to spread, I think ideas about who could do what jobs also began to spread.
The blind woman sits at a desk.
Throughout the early 20th century, as education began to get more professionalized, for blind students, of course, those students grew up and they began to organize politically and socially. They themselves really pushed for better employment, often using the networks they developed in schools to create businesses, to create social clubs, to flirt, all those kinds of things that people do to make and control their own lives.
Men sit around a table with the balding man, Tim Takey, Executive Director, this site center of Northwest Ohio.
There was a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. after World War I. My understanding is a lot of people came back from the war blinded or with eye damage, and as a result there were movements around the country to start societies for the blind.
Helen Keller became, in essence, the most famous deaf-blind person in the world, really, and traveled throughout the U.S. beginning in the teens and 20s. She came to the Toledo area and helped local organizations set up advocacy for blind people.
A young man named Joseph Klunk came through the area advocating for such organizations, and the community rallied.
Megan Regal.
The Lions Club in 1923 had kind of taken on blind welfare as a cause in the state of Ohio. Their founder, Edward Evans, was instrumental in founding what was then known as the Toledo Society for the Blind. He worked a lot with Frank Saxton, who was a secretary at the Toledo Chamber of Commerce, and they worked together with the Community Chest, which is now known as the United Way,
to establish the Toledo Society for the Blind in November of 1923.
Men paint the building.
When it started, it was much more about recreation and socialization.
With Megan.
People didn't realize how many blind people there were in Toledo because nobody, quite frankly, ever saw them because they were kind of keeping in their houses.
A photo shows a party.
There was always Happy Times, which was a group that met. There was a progressive dinner. So there was a number of social activities like that.
An older blind woman gives an interview.
It was a nice thing to be able to just get together.
So for many people, that was the first time that they were seeing people in the community who had disabilities who were actively participating in the community.
Don Christensen, retired executive director, the Sight Center of Northwest Ohio.
I was first introduced to the Sight Center way back when I was 6 or 7 years old at one of the Sight Center summer camps. It was the very first time I'd been away from home.
Barry McEwen.
1 week was frequently for the kids, and then another week was for the adults.
Photos show the camp.
You know, it was very interesting interacting with other people who were blind or visually impaired.
A blind young woman holds up a drawing of a sailboat with Barry.
It'll be a pretty wild time, I believe.
For me, it was no rules. At that time, I had some usable vision. There were some fears, again, just reaching out, meeting new people, interacting with kids, learning more so how the totally blind children were adapting to camp life. They had handrails from the cabins to the dining hall and playing cards with braille and print on them, checkers with raised checkerboards. So those kinds of things were all new and very different to me. It was valuable in that I knew what was coming down the road as I continued to lose my vision.
A photo shows a blind man repairing a chair.
Beginning in our foundation, employment services was another important focus. So around this time, late 1940s, early 1950s, a man named John Gerlich started to become involved with us. He was a very prominent businessman. He would become our board president in 1957 and would be with us in that position for 20 years. So as we sort of outgrew our facility on Michigan, we moved to our location on Canton Avenue. We really had a large expansion of our workshop. People would go there and develop these work skills.
The Sheltered Workshop employed people for a number of years.
Ginny Place.
Very noisy place, you know, because it was always busy. I worked on a line. I made 10,000 boxes a day. Just made them, and put them on the track, and down it went. I was on jobs that was U-bolts and saddle, and they were in great big, huge bins. And you had to use a rake and pull them down, and you had to put them together I used to get lots of steel in the tips of my fingers.
A woman sifts through U-bolts with Barry.
Everybody's familiar with the, when you get your laundry detergent, it's got that little, the cap drains right back into the thing. We did the prototype for that. We had over 100 people working there at the time, and they were popping these 3 pieces together and shipping them off to Procter & Gamble to put them on their product, and that was pretty interesting. It was disappointing when we had to close the sheltered workshop. The reality there was we didn't have all of the people coming up who had been blind from birth. People who had had vision and were losing it, either were too old and they were retired or other income sources. We kind of merged it with a group called Merit Industries, and all of our workforce went with them.
A woman wears headphones with Ginny.
The Sight Center did have the radio reading service.
SCAN was run off the second program audio channel and was offered with a unit that they put in sight-challenged people's homes.
With Barry.
When we started SCAN, Sight Center Audio Network, many of they were called radio reading services, and many of them used an FM band on a radio station. It was a thing called SAP, Second Audio Program, I think it was. And you had to have a special receiver and you could pick that up. Well, because we were working with WGTE and WBGU, we were actually using a subcarrier on their TV signal. Geographically, we probably had the largest radio reading service in the world. You could hear us in Canada, all over Northwest Ohio. Madge Levinson was our volunteer coordinator.
With Ginny.
Madge was a very, very sweet lady. She could get a little feisty sometimes. She would get feisty sometimes, but she was a very sweetheart.
Madge was a superstar. She could read anything well.
There were people who were college professors, there were people who were housewives, there were a lot of retired people, and they came from all professions.
I was the Thursday morning Blade reader. So I read, Thursday mornings, I read the Blade live.
Suzanne Carroll, SCAN volunteer.
We read the funny papers, we read sports, we read international, national, we read obituaries.
A woman reads into a mic.
And other people throughout the SCAN, they would be reading the Wall Street Journal, magazines, just a plethora of things, a variety of things.
Well, I enjoyed it. I think it was important because if you couldn't read the Blade, they'd read it to you. You'd know what was going on in the city. Back then, there were certain magazines that you liked. I think Madge would pick them out, you know, and just read to us.
It opened a window and a door to people that wouldn't otherwise have access to these materials in their life. They would have been left out in the dark. To me, it was just very special to be able to offer that to people, that window to normality for people who weren't able to see.
Black and white photos show people sitting at tables. A woman sits with a blind man.
In the 1960s, we really begin to see the formalization of what we know as blind rehab.
Jill Haller, OD.
Sometimes the patients have heard that there's like nothing else that can be done for them, and that's a little disheartening, but what we do here is the next step. We're more like rehab facility versus a medical treatment facility. Sometimes patients are not really ready at the beginning to hear that maybe they need to come to a place like the Sight Center to have low vision care. They have to be ready to accept their vision loss and accept that they're gonna have to use these tools or these devices or these other kinds of aids or training or services or modifications to do the things that they used to do but can no longer do them the same way visually.
We gain an understanding of the person's situation. We determine if there is function in that vision or maybe there's a lack of function, and that helps us determine where to start the individual in the process. whether that be in our low vision clinic or in-home services.
Jill Hunt.
For the clinic, that is for someone who has function in their vision, who their eyeglasses may not be enough and they need a bit more. We specialize in optical aids such as magnifiers, monoculars.
A man uses a magnifying glass.
As you learn to accommodate, you'll gain that self-confidence and you can do many more things.
With Dawn.
The agency provides many services for people who are blind or visually impaired. Some of the main services currently include the low vision clinic, again for people who have some usable vision.
With Jill.
A person meets with our optometrist, our occupational therapist, and our case manager. And we figure out
A woman uses a monocular.
what types of devices are most appropriate.
A rehabilitation professional will go into the home and work one-on-one with that individual.
And if you think about all those things that you do, you're cooking, you're matching clothes. If you identify any of those things as being difficult, we can then provide in-home services to you.
All of the things that we need to do in our daily lives to function, there are adaptive ways of doing that and adaptive equipment to help.
A blind man writes.
Another important one is orientation mobility, and that's moving about your environment safely with or without the use of a white cane or a guide dog.
A woman uses a white cane.
The first person from our agency that got certified in orientation and mobility was a woman named Rosalind Snow.
Rosalind works with the blind.
Rosalind would walk behind you when she taught you.
Jeannie gestures.
With cane. If you made a mistake, she'd say stop. Okay? So you stopped. I think she trained me very well.
With Dawn.
In the workplace or at home, how can you sit at your computer and have this screen of print in front of you and do your job? Well, there's software programs that convert the text into voice. They can convert the text into Braille. So again, many different aspects of assistive technology are out there to help people who are blind and visually impaired.
It was quite a blow.
Yeah, it was devastating. It was just to us. You know, I mean, we had to look at each other and say,
Holly and Dennis Patnode.
you know, what do we do?
What are we going to do from here?
Yeah, I mean, where do we go from here?
When the Sight Center first contacted us, I was thrilled, really, because I thought, oh, good, someone's going to, direct us which way to go.
They were there for us right from the start, and they told us how to handle things and explained to us, and they held our hand. So if the Sight Center hadn't been there, we would have had problems. I really, I believe that.
With the blonde women.
I'd say in a very small way, the Sight Center had a hand in my nuptials. So they have a hand in most of everything, including the development of true love.
Stacy Patnode Bassett. Sarah Patnode Sober.
I think that Sarah and I had a kind of idyllic childhood. We were born totally blind, right? Yes. But our parents didn't know that we were blind until we were 6 months old. We were kind of a shocker. We were twins. We were blind. We don't know where we came from. The stork took us to the wrong house. I don't know. We were raised to be very self-sufficient and independent. And I think part of that is because my parents didn't know any other blind people. They made an agreement right off the bat that they were going to continue raising us as they had before with guidance from the Sight Center and other places. I mean, were we even a year old yet when they were coming out? I mean, we were very young, and we had a wonderful woman named Cammie who came out to our house, and she really, really helped my parents a lot. I would say my childhood orientation mobility instructor, Dan Zink. Yeah. Also, Mary She always called herself Mary the Mobility Grinch. So I used to know her last name, but I don't know it now. But those two individuals specifically gave us our really strong foundation for independent travel. We were recalcitrant students. We'd rather be doing something else than like walking around the block and learning how to do that. Or like standing at quiet street crossings. I can still name all the streets that I learned how to cross when I was in junior high. And they used to have to bribe us like 6 successful lessons, and the next one we can go to the mall. And their patience and grace with us.
A photo shows the twins as teens.
Because of them, I still have the confidence to live life
and travel.
We're just very lucky that we had such a supportive place that we could always know we could turn to.
Photos show the twins as girls.
I'm so glad that you're with me in the dark. I'm so glad you're with me in the light. Oh, God.
An image shows a device with Megan.
So the last few decades have seen all sorts of evolutions in technology.
In the more recent years, we've established a shop at the Sight Center. So for a decade now, we've had a retail store that just provides another easy step into the world of low vision for our clients.
Assistive technology has made a lot of tasks easier for people who are blind or visually impaired.
They're a little slower than like a computer technology or like a car technology.
Back in the day, it was like a braille writer that was 12 pounds that we carried around our elementary school. Yep. And then it sort of went to, we learned about like the first Kurzweil scanner, where you could read a print book, it would read it back to you. It had this very strange voice. I can still hear it in my mind. Me too. Scanner moving to top of page. And you know, we learned a little bit about computers in the early 90s, but not much. And then when we went off to college, we got our first ginormous desktop computers. And the Sight Center had someone showing us how to use them.
Some of the new things that have been exciting currently are all the cell phone features, the voice assistants, and even different apps for cell phones.
Things have really changed, but anytime there's any sort of assistive tech changes, I always call the Sight Center. I'm like, help, I need help. I don't know how to use this new thing. And so they've been there ever since the very beginning when we were using clunky braille writers up to learning how to use our iPhones and our iPads back in the day.
Text appears over a hazy background. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Helen Keller. With Tim.
I do see our future in a lot of ways going back to our past, connecting people, the social, the recreational. I'll describe the future based on when I was on the board. I recall a discussion where I posed the question, if we didn't have this building, if we had this mission and we had this team, but we didn't have this building, what would we look like? And I think invariably we would look like an organization that was out in every county we serve. We'd be out there on a more regular basis with more programming, support groups, activities, awareness events, in addition to the in-home services that we provide.
Technology sort of upgrades continue to have more smart kind of devices, more AI kind of devices that can help people. I'm hoping that more wearable type devices can be sort of mainstreamed.
Well, I have a big dream for the Sight Center. I am very hopeful and that the Sight Center will continue its leadership in promoting positive collaboration.
Older adult organizations, the Area Office on Aging, committees on aging, county committees on aging, to be partnering with groups like that in ways that make us both stronger, where we bring the vision loss expertise and they bring the older adults who are living with it.
And I think the Sight Center is really
Sister Linda Pelagio.
In that direction of bringing everybody together and reaching for more, if not all, people in the area and somewhere else that we might be able to serve.
The Site Center is a very non-judgmental, supportive, and knowledgeable resource out in our community. Site Center always has very caring and empathetic staff who are not judgmental, who are there to support.
It was just a very nice place to work, a lot of really nice people, and the big thing was the positive impact you were making on people's lives.
This team, this multidisciplinary kind of approach to low vision is my preferred method of practice. All these professionals are so important. I'm important, the therapists who go in the home are important, the technology trainers are important, the orientation mobility trainers and evaluators are important, the social worker is important.
Vision loss for people is not the end of, it's
the story, it's the next chapter, and there's ways to adapt to it with grace and confidence.
If your blanket is short, you learn to bend your knees.
The title appears, Beyond Sight, a Legacy of Empowerment. This program is brought to you in part by Carol R. Kollowitz, MD. Also by viewers like you. Thank you. Credits appear. Producer, Nathan Hirsch. Executive producer, Shane Potgeider. Credits continue.
I don't need my eyes to see. I don't need my eyes to see. I don't need my eyes to see what you've done.
Copyright 2025 WGTE Public Media and the Site Center of Northwest Ohio. Text appears over a blue skyline. WGTE Public Media.